这期的档案涉及到一个 B2B 的罐装食品企业年收入3000万，税前利润180万，但因后期经营不善呢，导致公司跌入了财务危机财务的问题更迫使他们不能准时完成其他顾客的订单，而被告上了法庭，最后还需赔偿350万。若无人插手，这家公司的结局就只有一个清盘。但这时，一位资深资本家介入了这家公司，不只让诉讼被驳回，而且也把公司从财务危机里救活，还把公司成功转售给他人，让原本的老板也避免了破产的命运。这人就是今天的嘉宾 Barry Uy， 目前是马来西亚天使投资机构 M-Ban 的财政天使投资也称为 Angel Round， 是大多企业最早期的融资轮之一了。M-Ban 是唯一一个受大马政府承认的天使机构，想加入他们的会员最低门槛个人年收入必须先到达18万马币Barry 曾经在多家跨国企业担任高管在职业生涯的后端呢，也曾经创办自己的公司，最后还成功将公司出售。今天的他呢，已经在半退休状态，但依然活跃在资本圈，尤其是合并加收购这一块今天的资本游戏，我们不只是要听故事，我们将从 Barry 的实战经验中挖掘出关于天使投资和企业并购最真实、最残酷的法则。这个是属于 Barry 的 Masterclass Playbook。资本游戏正式开始。I read the case study, right? And I think it's quite interesting because what we are dealing with, it's a company with multiple stream of income. It's one dealing in canned products and also the packaging work of it. And then finally the export part of it, 30 million annual revenue, profit before tax, about 6%, which is about 1.8 mil. On any paper, right, on the surface, this looks like a really healthy company. So how did they even get into a serious debt issue in the first place?
So problems started brewing when COVID hits. So when COVID hits, the company did a big issue with revenue, and underlying it, company didn't build enough reserves over the years.
So they ran out of cash, and then they ran out of financial capability to continue servicing the existing customers, which lead to this legal issue in the first place.
Yes. So that kind of leads to that problem that they had, and that's where it became into picture.
Is it worth rescuing?
Certainly, definitely. Because as I said, they still got orders from existing customers. And I think the bigger picture for us, we were also looking at potentially taking this company into expanding to much bigger, perhaps looking at an exit in either a trade sales or an IPO at a later stage.
Either through M&A with a bigger player or through IPO.
Yes. As I said, we mentioned, wow, this business, R1 billion industry just in Malaysia alone. This is huge. And number two, the growth of this industry is still quite healthy. It's not double digits, but it's closer to double digits.
You're talking about the
growth of the industry.
Compound annual growth rate.
Yeah. And the thing that got us really more confident was the fact that they've got very strong anchor clients, and anchor clients are still doing business with them. So their issue was not so much of no order, but the difficulty, obviously, in this deal was the fact that they already had an injunction on them. And we have to sort that out, obviously, right? There were basically a few steps that we needed to take care of. So to us, we have established that, okay, the business is rescuable, so-called, all right? Then next is, can we get it going? Can we remove the obstacle?
So on top of your head, you have multiple checkboxes that you actually have to look into. Before you commence the rescue operation.
Yeah, correct. So the first thing was to look at the business first. Then we look at, the situation that they're in. And in this case, the situation they're in is the temporary liquidation. The way I approached it was this. We need to establish first whether is it feasible in the first place. Then we look at the roadblocks. And that roadblock was really clearly the liquidation that was in place.
So the lawsuit first?
Yeah, the lawsuit. So I needed to find out what was the nature of the lawsuit, because by that time we went in, the injunction has already taken place. A temporary liquidator has already been appointed already. So we found that actually, as far as the courts are concerned, this is actually a temporary injunction. I mean, it's not official yet. Through legal means, lift the temporary injunction, but we needed to negotiate with the plaintiff, in this case with the customer that sued them. I still remember my first meeting was to bring the lawyers to go to talk to the lawyers whether can we work out a settlement or not? Initially, the other party was very, very adamant, very strong to their conviction that they want that 3.5 million. That's it, nothing short, right? And on our side, we actually did a calculation. I think that if that was the price, it might not be so feasible. A lawyer-to-lawyer case, both were holding to their grounds, what staff cannot go through. But one of the things that we actually convinced that the other party was, if they go through the whole liquidation process, once liquidation takes place, right, the first parties that will get most of the cash or assets will be the banks. By the time left over, we don't know how much left over will be for them to proceed. The actual amount may not be that much as what they are planning. It's what they would like to have. Okay?
Wow, Barry, this is a masterclass by itself. I would say they have the upper hand. They are suing your client into liquidation and also potential bankruptcy. So they have all the reasons not to negotiate with you. But your reason is that, hey, if you leave it to the court, you will be left with just the bones, probably. What are the numbers?
So we definitely paid less than the 3.5 million that they were entitled to. Much less, I would say. But it was a number that satisfies basically two parties. One, on our side, we basically needed to negotiate a better deal. Number two, on their side, we wanted to put something that it is attractive enough that the amount that they might possibly give. We actually did a calculation based on the assets that the company has. If the banks will do how much they owe to the bank, if the bank will take over, how much left. And it's really not more than $1 million.
Then in that case, I wanna ask you a really serious question, right? In this kind of negotiation, when it comes to the capital world or the mechanism of how it works, does it really come down to whether both parties are satisfied or not?
Okay, so it's not just the financial alone. It's also the other party got to feel comfortable. You are actually trying to do something positive. So we didn't go in from an angle that, we are vouchers. It's a case of whether we want to act tough or whoever's acting, but it was a case where that it's something beneficial for the outcome, for everyone, the outcome. And I think the other party saw that since they have been actually waiting for a while to get this compensation, not getting it, right now there is a tangible deal on the table, they are prepared to consider. They also probably think that if you have to let it drag on, eventually the lawyer's fees will add up. Right? You'll end up paying more each time when you go to court, each time you prepare a letter, this are additional costs. They already incur quite a substantial amount of legal costs going through this case anyway. So they're hoping to take back some money, obviously.
So directly after that meeting, they got something tangible back, which is cash upfront, resulting in the withdrawal of that injunction order.
Yes.
So they stopped that lawsuit.
So that was a breaking point. That was really breakthrough. If they did not take it, that rescue would not be able to be even much more difficult. We have to think of another way anyway. Since they accepted the deal, it was amicable. So one of the things that we convinced them to do was obviously they have to lift up the injunction in the case, and they were prepared to support any rescue plan coming out from the White Knight.
Because in the end, they will also gain something from it.
Yeah. And they were also very supportive. For us then, big stress relief, all right? But that was a critical piece. So obviously, when they agreed, we went through the legal process. Took us about, I think, a couple of months to get it done. Finally, the court allowed the injunction to be lifted. Then we could really go into the company and start the operations. Then we took over the financial situation, the accounts of the company. So we needed to proceed on with the business. We did some cash injection in order for them to fulfill the orders that they were getting.
You're talking about the existing orders.
Existing orders, the raw materials, and that started the cash flowing in.
Then the next question is, who injected that capital?
The White Knight. That's why before we actually went to deal, we already worked out how much would be required. So there's the portion that we needed to pay to the other party for the lifting up of the injunction. This one is one cost that we had to build in, a budget, if you call it. Two, how much cash that we needed to pump in order to get it going and grow the company. So based on that, we are prepared. I actually told the White Knight, and I told we have to prepare about 4 million. The whole thing will cost us about at least around $4 million.
Are you talking about ringgit?
Ringgit, yeah. Not that much.
Still crazy amount.
Bear in mind that there must be already cash available upfront in preparation for
the entire rescue operation.
Yeah.
But that's a super huge risk for that White Knight.
Very high, right?
But
the return would be fantastic, because if you look at it, this company's turnover was the 30 million. So the valuation, we did a very conservative valuation. Eventually, easily the company will be worth about 70 million at least. 30 million, we pump in, we grow, we could easily, over the next 3 years, hitting 50 million for this company is not a problem at all.
We are now at the juncture where, first we lifted that injunction order. Second, the White Knight started to inject capital inside. So what's next for the company then?
To tackle the banks. So in fact, this company, when we took over, this company was under NPL already with the bank, okay? So we needed to actually work out a plan with the bank to restructure the loans. Interestingly, and the bank was very, very cordial to listen to our plan on what we could do. And obviously, we presented our plan. Obviously, when the company started to generate the revenue, we also work out a cash flow to the bank. And I think the banks were pretty happy.
So not only you have to deal with the lawyers, but you have to deal with the bank as well.
Yes. From the bank's perspective, right, it's an NPL. They definitely want to recover. They don't want loan to go sour, right?
My next question is this common in the capital world?
It's not unique. There are many companies that's gone through the same process as well.
But it's really interesting to hear from you because you were working in the front line itself. You and the White Knight rescued this company from the brink of death. You got it running again. But most importantly, you angled it to another exit for the owner itself by selling it off to a potential purchaser.
The longer term plan was if we could turn it around, we'll be able to double up the business the next 3 to 4 years, right? And potentially there will be a strong exit for the White Knight as well. So it's very, very handsome returns. All right. Our plan wasn't an immediate deal actually, because we knew that we could take a couple of years.
Turn it back to a green.
Yeah, to get green, make it attractive, and then, fortunately, so I must say sometimes luck does play a part. A company that was in the same business were looking for strategic buy to expand their business. And when I talked to the White Knight, he says, well, I already spent a couple of million already, so let's see what we can get out of it. The strategic fit was there, where this company already running the operation, they basically wanted a very immediate facility that they could use to expand their business quick.
So it's like to create another manufacturing line for their own business.
Correct, exactly. Yeah. So it just fits nicely. And when we started to talk, we realized that there needs to be a comfort zone. Right? Risk mitigation was important for both sides. So that's how we thought of an idea of, okay, how about lease to purchase? So instead of an immediate direct purchase by the buyer at an and the valuation of at the time we were looking at about 70 million or so, right? It's a big ticket item. So instead of an immediate purchase, why don't we look at lease over?
It's a brilliant move by you, right, Barry, and the White Knight, because by offering this lease to purchase, you give them some leeway to see the potential of those machineries within the business itself.
Yes, because
can I actually use those machines and equipments to, further boost my business before I actually put in the serious money to purchase the entire business?
Yes. Number one, it gives them an entry into the company without having to pay that money upfront, right? When they get into the company, then they're able to gauge any problems that's going to arise.
Rather than wait 3 to 5 years and look for another exit, why don't you shorten the timeline?
Yeah. And also mitigate risks on our side and on their side as well, on both sides. And I think for the owners themselves, at least they can see a much stronger light.
Yeah, they exit with a legacy.
Yeah.
Pass on to another higher potential business owner. How do they know this company is up for sale?
So in this case, it's very industry specific. People in the market already know the status of the companies, all right? So they're already in the lookout. And they also were aware of the rescue that was being undertaken. They see that rescue has taken place. Time for us to look at it, right?
Because most of the risks have been handed off.
Yeah, we kind of removed the biggest obstacles of the company, which is the liquidation part of it.
So let's talk a bit about valuation. When a company is going through liquidation, correct me if I'm wrong, no such thing as a valuation. It's just basically I sell off your asset, how much it's worth, then that's what you are worth, the entire business. But right now you have lifted the injunction, you kept it running, slowly going back to the green again. Different concept is being discussed here, right, in terms of valuation?
Yes. So this one was not purely based on valuation of the company potential anymore. This was basically based on valuation on two things. One is the assets that's available, and second, the operational aspects of the company. The existing capacity, what will be the production volume, and how much that worth?
So you drop a projection for the potential buyer.
So there are about 7 machines. So these 7 machines, what's the maximum capacity? And if the max out, what will be the production capacity in terms of the value?
But definitely, Barry, they say no to your initial valuation of 70 million.
So that's where we negotiate. And that's where the lease idea comes in. They will pay us, because lease means they are renting from us. So they will pay us every month about 250,000 every month.
So 250,000 to take over that equipment. Plus they will take over the employees as well.
Yes. Take over management of the employees. Okay. Then the actual sale price is a different price.
But right now it's like lifting off a lot of pressures from the owners already.
Correct.
Because the payrolls of the employees are on the...
Yes, correct. That's why in a sense you can see why it's a acceptable deal for us, because the financial pressures are all lifted. So because of that, there's a trade-off, right? So the trade-off is we have to take it at the eventual sale price will be a much lower valuation.
But also you shorten the timeline needed for the exit.
Yeah.
Because initially you thought you let it operate itself.
Correct.
After 3 to 5 years, you will look at what are your other options out there. But right now it's not even 2023. We are not even
24 months thing.
Less than 3 years. Less than 3 years.
Yes, less than 3 years. So for the one night, it's a good ROI. If we were to continue on, maybe he may get a lot more, right? You never know, right? But there's something tangible on the table, and I think it's a good win for everybody.
这里也有一个小福利送给大家了。要是你一直以来呢都想要创立一个赚钱又值钱的企业我把 Z Founder Club 频道里面的商业跟资本学精髓呢都整理成了一个清单。那想要获取这个免费的 chat list 的话呢，自己在评论区拿连接咯。
If you talk about small, medium-sized companies, right? So I think one of the key things that most founders don't realize that is that M&A can be a strategy in your dealings. So a lot of people think that M&A is just exit, but not necessarily. Sometimes M&A is just for growth.
Yeah, you can take over smaller company.
Yeah, or even you can allow a bigger company to take over and you can tap into their resources, their expertise, their market. It can work on both ways. So a lot of founders don't realize that M&A can be part of the growth strategy. It's not about, M&A means Tapa already finished,
Throughout your experience in M&A, what is the highest and lowest amount in terms of ticket size that you have dealt with?
I don't do big deals. My deal size is in between 5 million to about max 100 million.
Is that considered as a small deal?
Yeah, small. In the world of M&A, these are not very big deals. The big deals are few hundred millions. Because if you talk about companies, even if you look at, say, a small company, for example, like a company that does, say, $3 million profit, say, after tax. If you use a simple multiplier times, say, 10, so you're looking at a 30 million valuation already.
But Barry, I also felt like, when we first met, right, we jump onto the topic of M&A immediately. I remember I threw a question at you. I asked, Barry, do you think M&A can be made into a more common practice within the SME in Malaysia? To which you answered yes. In my own opinion, right, Malaysia is made out of 90+% of SMEs.
That's in most countries, I would say.
But also a lot of business owners, they are unaware that M&A could be a potential avenue for them to grow or exceed the business. Why do you think this is the case?
Partly, I think the one is awareness. Because in people's mind, M&A means, wow, big business, big conglomerate, very sophisticated. So they don't realize that M&A can be even very, very small. Just for example, just that day, I bumped into optical shop. I realized the company name has changed, right? I'm a regular. So I asked him, how come? So I bought over my partner's business. He actually bought over the partner, but the reason why I consider this M&A is because he actually used his own company, another company has set up, to buy over the shares of the existing partners plus the stocks. And it was very small, not very big. It was $400,000. So that's an M&A. Most of the time, the founders are very, I call it, involved in the business. So whatever decision that they made, the staff are very dependent on them. So they don't have time to think about what I'm going to do.
In terms of exit plan and growth plan.
Or that. Because my focus is how to grow. I'm just thinking of how to grow my business.
Walk me through, like, if I wanted to sell Z Founder, what should I do?
Just think very clear cut. Appoint a qualified accountant.
CFO.
All right. Yeah. Get your books in order. Meaning that make sure it's audited in compliance with the basic accounting rules and standards. Minimum 2 to 3 years. Number 2, document your processes. Start to operationalize your process and document them. Third, think of it more like an internal improvement. How do I improve my company internally? These are to me, the most basic thing that you could do. And this will make you quite M&A ready.
Because these documents make you into a valuable asset, right?
Yes. Because if you start to talk M&A, people wanted to do due diligence and look at things, right? Look at your processes, right? They'll ask, have you got something written down? If you don't have, it's quite difficult. Then you spend time going through the whole process. So it makes the whole due diligence process very, very cumbersome and very, very slow. And as a result, right, fatigue runs in.
Yeah, both parties will just cut it off.
Correct, right. If your internal process are more formalized, it was also more impressive.
Let's compare it to traditional bank loans or fundraising for startups. You don't fundraise when you need the funds. You fundraise when you are at your best condition. Does it apply to M&A as well?
Yes, certainly. Because in the end, why people buy your company is purely financial. I would say, not say 100%, I'm buying your revenue and your profits. What am I buying? In the end, people will ask, what am I buying? So you can say, no, you're buying my customers, you're buying my assets. Yes, sure. You're buying my market. Yeah, sure. But in the end, what does it translate to? The revenue and profits. So if I'm buying into, let's say, your expertise in a certain industry or in a certain space, but that's got to be translated into something, right, tangible financially. So that to me is bottom line, is the revenue and the profits. Founders from day one got to start thinking of making their company profitable
and valuable.
It's quite commonly acknowledged that the best way to fund your business is through your revenue and your profits. Whoever buys the company in these days, they would want sustainability. The owners don't get to leave immediately. There'll be a transition, there'll be a plan in place to ensure that this owner deliver. And these days, most M&A comes with a condition.
Barry, it's interesting that you mentioned this because in Mandarin, right, we call this 对赌协议. So it's more like, I wouldn't call it a form of gambling, but it's more like different conditions.
Yeah, that's quite a common term these days. So you tend to get higher valuation if you are prepared to guarantee the profits for the subsequent 2 to 3 years. And the guarantee means what? You stay back. M&A doesn't mean immediately I'm off. You still have to sweat for another couple more years.
But there are also different deals where they will want you off immediately.
Yeah, so those are actually pure strict pure major acquisitions.
Is this common as well?
For me, I've not personally done this kind of deal. As part of risk mitigation, most buyers now want this part of it because it's more comfortable. You can mitigate the risk. Because if the owner still stays back, there's a lot of learning he learned from the owner, the founder himself. And number 2, there's also that guaranteed profits that he stays around. And 3, there's proper planning in terms of succession planning.
Barry, you touched on a very important aspect of corporate world as well. Succession planning. This is also another issue in Malaysia.
Succession planning for SMEs,
yes,
certainly, is a major issue. And increasingly now, I notice there's a lot of founders having problem with succession planning. They've been running the business for easily 25, 30 years. So they're at a point where they wanted to call it easy, perhaps retire, but no successor. Children not keen to take over, or the children are overseas, not going to come back. But I've also, at the same time, I've also come across companies that have been very lucky, whom their children are quite keen to take over. So I think these are the lucky few. If the business is lucrative enough, the children will be keen.
I think also depends on the personality of the children itself. Some wanted to build their own legacy, I would say.
Yeah, correct. So this is again
Comes back down to human nature.
human nature. Yeah, I've come across people who take over their parents' business. After a few years, he wants to change it totally different. He wants to carve it on his own. So in a way, it's good and bad. Good that if he is able to transform it and make it worthwhile, still continue to be sustainable. Bad because if it doesn't pivot properly, it will lead to a lot of financial crisis. It will lead to financial crisis.
You will also destroy your parents' legacy.
Correct, that's right.
Well, Barry, thank you so much for sharing all this information today.
Yeah.
I think you know what we do. Z Founder, we try to push a lot of capital literacy and also to introduce more founders to tap into different potentials in the capital world itself. So hearing from an expert such as yourself as to the workings of M&As, succession planning, fundraising, I think is actually really eye-opening for all of the founders, including myself.
Yeah, you're most welcome, Zinji. So I'm happy to share the little experience that I have and the know and hope it helps your members.
I'm not sure if you're open for it, but perhaps, next round we could make a small gathering, perhaps for 20 to 25 people. Probably we can get some good founders with profitable business, but don't know how to tap into the M&A sphere. I think it would be interesting.
Okay, sure. I'm game for it.
All right. Thank you, Barry. Thanks for your time.
Bye. All right.